Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matthew, returning with the 7th video here in round 1 of the My Favorite AWA Remco action figure tournament. I do have the last 2 sets of matchups, last 2 videos set up right now. As I said before, I had 3 different variations of the Barbarian custom figures. So the last video, I'm just going to do a 3-man matchup with all the Barbarian figures and choose my winner from there. And yeah, these are some pretty exceptional figures, and I really love what I'm going to be able to show over these last couple of videos. And just to give you a highlight of what's happening in this video. So Buddy Rose is going to square off against referee Dick Worley. Stan Henson is going to square off against the Custom Sting. We have from the Sheep Herders Butch squaring off against the Jimmy Garvin grudge match version. That's the flabby belly version. Billy Jack Haynes is going to square off against Mike Sharp. And finally, Bruiser Brody is going to square off against Jerry Lawler. And I'm really interested in how that Bruiser Brody matchup ends up because, well, when I get to there, I'll explain why it's that one's kind of an important one for me. So, as I said, the first matchup we're looking at, both original figures. Buddy Rose, who comes from the Mat Mania Series 5 release, squaring off against the referee, Dick Worley. Now, in the last video, we had the other referee, Curly Brown, and I said that the 2 referees from Remco, to me, are a couple of the top 15 figures from the line. I mean, they surpass so many of the other action figures, and I kind of felt like those 2 matchups, there was a kind of a bona fide winner in each one. Now, I think Sergeant Slaughter was the competitor in the last video, so to me that had to be a shoo-in. There was no question about it. Sergeant Slaughter had to win, and this does not get any easier. I've already said it many times before. Buddy Rose is easily a top 5 or 6 figure in this line. And his robe, if you find an original Buddy Rose robe, this thing costs about $200 just for the robe itself. And I think I was lucky, and I actually got the original robe and figure for like, I think at even $200. I think I submitted an offer, which was accepted. May have been a little bit over. I don't exactly remember. So I did have a lot of information about Buddy Rose when I did my AWA Remco review videos. But as I've said before, a lot of the stuff that I remember or a lot of stuff that I learned about, I don't always hold on to that knowledge. So I really don't have anything further to explain in this video. It's just a good looking figure. I mean, like I said, this is, in my opinion, he's got to come down to like one of the last 8 figures. Now, I say that now, and he could be gone in the next round. Random drawing, you guys already know the deal. Dick Worley, great looking piece. I love the referee. I tried to kind of like paint my Big John stud like this with the referee shirt, and I'm not an artist. I'm not a painter. I don't know the first thing about customizing, but it was a really beat up Big John stud figure, and I was never going to be able to sell that thing. So I cleaned him up and tried to give him a repaint. Pants and boots look good, but the shirt was horrible. I still kind of put him on display, though, because he's like the first figure I ever tried to paint and whatnot. So kind of a special meaning for me in that regard. We'll take a quick look at the Buddy Rose again. Trying to give you guys a full view of the figure. And I mentioned... And when I do round 2, I mean, some of these characters that I don't remember a lot about, I'll go back and do some research on and try to give you guys a little bit more information in round 2. And, of course, Dick Worley. Buddy Rose is going to win. There's just no doubt about it. Love the figure, but top 15 compared to top 5... to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. The next one is going to feature a couple of WCW icons. featuring one of my all-time favorite wrestlers in history, Sting, as he does battle with Stan Henson. Now, Stan Henson used to come up with his little lasso and everything to the ring. I don't really remember a lot about his earlier career or anything. I think I've seen him briefly in WCW. I saw him briefly, not saying that he was in WCW briefly, but the AWA Remco version of this figure with the overall accessories to boot with the head mold, absolute perfection. Another grudge match figure right there with Crusher Blackwell. You know, I already said before, the Black Card series, one of my favorite series of any line, of any toy line period. Absolutely incredible. There was a Sting that Russ had before where he was in white pants. He had that listed a couple times, and I kept missing out on it. And I assumed that somebody didn't pay, so we had to relist it. And it sucks. I really wanted that figure. But he ended up, I told him I wanted this thing. He ended up coming out with the new one. And I was able to win the version where he's in, black. And, the Crow Sting, highlighted by Brandon Lee's Crow. What was that, 1994 when that movie came out? It sucks that, that man was such a huge talent. If you actually watch the beginning of that movie, the man was a fantastic actor, and to be gunned down by live ammunition because some idiot screwed up, it was a waste of a life. That man could have gone on and done great things. But Mark Dacascos, he also played the Crow in Stairway to Heaven TV show. Another fantastic Crow iteration. This is hard because Sting, like I said, he is among not just my favorite wrestlers in WCW, but among my favorite wrestlers, period. And to think of how his life started off with the Ultimate Warrior in AW prior to really solidifying himself as the face of a franchise in WCW. I know a lot about Sting. I grew up watching him a ton. We always had like the best of Sting, best of Hulk Hogan videos and stuff. So, you always saw a lot of the matches like that. And I don't really have a lot of history or understanding of Henson. I'm going to go with Stan Henson. I love the custom, there's no doubt. Sting means so much to me. It's sad to lose Sting in the first round of a tournament like this. But come on. Original figure. Amazing look. Just in every category. Just checks every box. Love the figure. Of course, Stan Henson has to move on to round 2. To me, it really was a no-brainer of a decision. I think this might have actually been the first time that, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time that I've seen 2 original figures defeat a custom in back-to-back battles. So that's pretty awesome. So next battle is going to feature, from the grudge match along Scott Hall, is the flabby version of Jimmy Garvin, as he squares off against custom Butch of the Sheepherders. Again, kind of sticking with that same army look, and we know the Bushwhackers, Hasbro versions, where they have the black and white or gray camel pants in Series 2, or then they move to the tan and brown colored pants in Series 10. But, this isn't your Bushwhackers. This is more like your parents' Sheepherders version. Well, at least for me. I never really knew them as Sheepherders. I knew of the name. I knew of their history as Sheepherders, but to me, they will always be simply the Bushwhackers. And what have I said before? You got guys like Jim Duggan. You've got guys like the Bushwhackers. $1 Million Man even. Teddy DiBiase. These guys were absolute grapplers. And when they came to WWF, because WWF was centered, towards kids and stuff, you wanted to sell their toys and other merchandise and whatnot, you kind of had to dial down the way that they fought and whatnot. So I don't think I ever really got the true appreciation of how well the Bushwhackers were as a tandem, because I saw them as like this lame gimmick type of deal, you know, coming down the aisle with their little dance and licking people's faces and stuff. And in ring, it seems like they held their own, but then you watch them in like Royal Rumbles where they just completely humiliate themselves. But this right here, I keep calling the dark-haired version Butch and the light-haired version Luke. I do the same thing with the Random Treasures, LJN Customs. I don't know if that's the case or not. It's just how I view them. So, Jimmy Garvin, I actually like the flabby belly better than the muscular tone, toned abs. So, and I think this is even the robe is like a little bit different. Like, I think the original Series 3 robe, I think he had like a red and blue, whereas in Series 4 with the 2-pack, he just had just a simple blue robe. Great accessory, awesome looking figure. Do we make it 3 in a row with the originals? With this particular video, I don't think so. I absolutely love these figures. I think that these might be some of my new favorite customs. Incredible. I mean, the shirt and pants just bleed in so beautifully with the figure. The only issue I really have with this particular figure, I don't know if you can see it, but if it looks like some kind of glue is sticking out of the head. So, and of course with the arms, I don't know what these white markings are all about. So, as a buyer, especially someone who paid a lot of money for these figures, you'd want a little bit more, thorough perfection, but it's a great figure nonetheless. Absolutely love it. Glad I purchased it. To me, it was a fantastic buy. Sheep Herder Butch moves on round 2 as he defeats Jimmy Garvin. Next battle. I don't remember any of these characters, but the first one is a man that I figured would actually look a lot better if he had green and yellow trunks. And the hat is a nice accessory. Again, it would have been nice if it had a green outline to it or something, but either way, we are going to show Billy Jack Haynes as he squares off against Iron Mike Sharp. So, Mike Sharp, I've never seen him to my knowledge, but I assume he has like a lot of, chest hair or something, because when you look at like the Random Treasures LJN, which again is an absolute trash figure. If they ever watch my videos, sorry, but again, the figure just wasn't good. And last video I mentioned, once they came out with Mil Mascaras, I absolutely refused to buy that figure. Then they came out with with Mike Sharp, and I'm like, I absolutely refuse to buy that figure. Because at some point I do want to do my favorite XOX Customs tournament. I'm gonna be forced to buy those figures just to have a complete tournament. But like I said, all of those figures that I'm missing, I think the only one I'm interested in is maybe Paul Bearer, which looks kind of bad, but it's acceptable. And the Undertaker. I didn't buy the Undertaker because my buddy Eric, he was creating the exact same Undertaker figure for me just before, like probably a month or two before Ram Treasures ever came out with their figure. So Ram Treasures, they don't want to make their own figures. They get it from other people too. So, and I think that's where Kevin Pelkey and guys like that come into play. But Mike Sharp is garbage, and this one, it's a plain figure. Just it blends in beautifully with the rest of the Remcos. Nothing super flashy. Just kind of like dotted on chest hair. Simple. Because I don't know a lot about or anything about Mike Sharp, the character himself doesn't mean anything to me. I don't exactly remember Billy Jack Haynes from WWF either. Obviously, when I started collecting LJNs, we already know the Billy Jack Haynes figure is one of the greatest LJN figures of all time. Love the figure. Love the fact that he comes with the accessory. Great fighting pose. Awesome look. And like I said, it would have been really nice if they had like this green and yellow. That would have made the figure so much better. But, you know, you got the little tattoos on the arm and everything. And if it said, like, Oregon on the back, I'm trying to see if it says it anywhere on here. It doesn't, but I mean, come on. They got the tattoos going on. They got the hat. It's just a great overall figure. You know, another one that bleeds in beautifully with the original Remco line. Two awesome customs, but hands down, Billy Jack Haynes is just light years better. So, once again, Billy Jack Haynes is going to defeat Iron Mike Sharp to move on to round 2. Alright, the last matchup. And so far we're at 15 minutes. You ever notice how, like, when I watch my videos, like, every time I look at the time, my eyes get really big, and I'm like... and I'd be watching this on a big screen, and I would just watch my eyes pop up. So, I gotta stop doing that. But the darn writing at the top of the screen is like that big. And I'm like, what? But this last matchup, it's going to be an interesting one. And right now, I'm not sure where I want to go with it. But it is going to feature a Memphis legend in Jerry the King Lawler as he squares off against Bruiser Brody. So, Jerry Lawler, if you actually look at this head, I mean, that is perfect Memphis wrestling in the 1980s. I mean, he really was the king of that area. You know, he'd be like he'd win a match and then he'd go out on the local news afterwards and give an interview. That's how beloved Jerry Lawler was. And to see him go from that to what you would find in the WWF, where he was nothing more than Burger King, you know, got beat up a lot. You know, started a lot of feuds and stuff, but always had to like force other people to like fight in his battles for him, or he'd go into a Royal Rumble and like hide underneath the ring or something. It was I don't remember when it happened, but there was a Royal Rumble I watched on YouTube, and who was it? It was one commentator. I didn't recognize him. It was Jerry Lawler, and I think Booker T was another one. And, you know, they're all commentating, and I assume Booker T was retired at this point. And, you know, the bell goes off, and, you know, you see Jerry Lawler, you know, start taking off his clothes as he's getting ready to enter the ring. And then later, and, you know, everybody's making fun of him because, hey, you know, you're a commentator, what are you doing in the Royal Rumble, right? And then later on, same exact thing, you know, Booker T was complaining about Jerry Lawler, and then he starts stripping down as he enters the Rumble. And then towards the end, the other commentator who doesn't even look like a wrestler, I'm like, who is this guy and why is he in the ring? But what I really loved about that match is Jerry Lawler did a phenomenal job. I mean, he wasn't in there crazy long, but you know, he wasn't in and out in like a matter of seconds. He actually held his own. You know, he fought really well. I'm like, yeah, yes, thank you. This is the Jerry Lawler I've been wanting to see for, you know, all these years. So Blatant Inference, he had like this little commentary video with Hulk Hogan and Jerry Lawler. Of course, you weren't going to make Jerry Lawler lose a match, but at the same time, you couldn't have anyone really defeat Hogan because, you know, icon. And it was just a fun video. I mean, I loved the commentary and everything. And it was really interesting to see Hogan and Jerry Lawler square off. Like I said, this particular figure means a lot. I love the accessory. You know, great likeness to his 1980s Memphis wrestling. Awesome look. And we got Bruiser Brody. You know, keeping with the little shoe coverings, I think that's awesome. Chest hair is, you know, relatively simple again. Just poking dots on the chest. His face mold, beard probably isn't as long as it should be. Now, I know it can be done because I've seen Russ's work with the Brody Lee figure, with the super long, you know, I call it Duck Dynasty beard. But, still a quality figure nonetheless. I would have loved if this one came with, like, maybe a vest and, you know, a chain or something. Maybe the chain fell off, I don't know. But, I don't remember if a chain came with this one or not. Two quality figures, but let's be honest. Jerry Lawler is going to win this matchup, and I think it's a very simple decision. there's just too much riding on this figure where there's just not enough to push Bruiser Brody forward. Now, anyone who's new or has not watched my favorite LJN tournament, either the first one or the second one, cover your ears for the next 10 seconds because I don't want you guys to hear this. For those who have seen my videos and have been with me for a while, given the fact that Bruiser Brody LJN Custom won my LJN tournaments, twice now, to see a Bruiser Brody Custom figure eliminated here in this round, it's heartbreaking. Yes, you're talking about an LJN Custom compared to a Remco Custom, but at the same time, again, the Bruiser Brody figures have just done so well. But it's a good figure. I'm glad I picked it up. It was just no matchup in this type of tournament. And just to recap, Buddy Rose defeated Dick Worley. Stan Henson defeated Sting. Sheep Herder Butch defeated Jimmy Garvin. Billy Jack Haynes defeated Iron Mike Sharp. And finally, Jerry Lawler defeated Bruiser Brody. Alright, so we have 5 more matchups in the next video. I haven't been giving the next matchups in previous videos, but I'm going to do it this time because that is going to be the last matchup or set of matchups in round 1. And that's going to feature Sheep Herder Luke squaring off against Jimmy Oh, wow. That is awesome. So, Butch defeated Flabby Belly Jimmy Garvin in this round, or this matchup. And then Sheep Herder Luke is going to square off against his skinny version in the next video. That's awesome that it played out that way. Kamala is going to square off against Undertaker. That's the second Undertaker in this tournament. King Kong Bundy is going to square off against Moondog Rex. The Missing Link is going to square off against Dusty Rhodes. And finally, the 3 Barbarian Customs are going to square off against each other. Alright, so that should conclude this video for now. Just kind of looking around, making sure I didn't miss any figures because I want to make sure that all my Remcos are able to be part of this tournament. Alright, again everybody, thank you so much for watching, and of course, leave a comment if you'd like. I'd love to hear from you, and see you in the next video. Take care everybody.